everybody, it's Emma Goodwin here, Timeless Cookery, and I'm not doing any cooking today, but I thought I would tell you a little bit about a big adventure I went on with my teenage daughter. So, I don't know if you've heard of Tourettes, but Tourettes is a condition where people involuntarily shout out things. They have no control about what comes out of their mouth, and they get an urge, like an obsessive compulsive feeling, and then they have to say squirrels or whatever it is. So when my daughter was about 14, she used to come into the room and dab compulsively. She used to come in the room and just dab, and we were like, that's funny, haha, everyone's dabbing, yeah. But then it became just like a thing where she always dabbed. She just dabbed compulsively, and then she started saying things like light switch. I'd be like, what do you mean light switch? She'd go, light switch. I go, okay. She'd say, it's all right, Mum, I can't help it. I was like, okay. And so then it evolved. She would say, Marilyn. I'd be like, is there someone called Marilyn around? Who's Marilyn? What? And she'd be like, it's all right, Mum, ignore me. I can't help it. So these words were coming out of her mouth, and she wasn't able to stop herself from saying things. And it got worse, and it kind of escalated. And she was doing it at school. And she would especially do it at school when she got anxious. And unfortunately, her maths teacher, who had quite a boomy voice, made her especially anxious. And so in the end, she ended up shouting some expletives in maths. And then she got given a lanyard with, I'm a special case and let me out of the room without asking me any questions. And I was like, good work, babe. Because, to be able to just walk around school whenever you want, was a good thing to be able to do at that point. So yeah, it was a really big deal. She had this Tourette's thing going on. She was shouting things involuntarily. I was at my wit's end because I tried really hard for many years to give her a really good diet so she had a really healthy gut. And I was thinking she had a really healthy gut. So we started to sort of look back and think, what happened? And what happened was 4 months before she started ticking, well, it might have been a bit less actually, but anyway, she had a very, very bad tummy ache one time. And me being GAPS practitioner, I'm a GAPS coach, and somebody who practices GAPS and has been practicing GAPS for many, many years, I fasted her for a little while. It did nothing. I gave her some green juices for a while. It did nothing. I gave her just chicken stock for a while. It did nothing. This went on for over 3 weeks, and in the end she was in terrible pain, and every morning she'd wake up just greyer than she had been the day before, bent over in double, sometimes lying on the sofa sweating, and I, in the end, gave in, because I've been to the doctors before with non-specific abdominal pain, and they've been not hugely helpful. So I thought, I'm not going to take it to the doctor, because what are they going to do? I don't know. So I just tried to do it with charcoal. I tried to do it with bentonite clay. I tried to do it with, ginger tea and all sorts. Nothing worked. She had this terrible pain. In the end, it was so bad that I thought, what if I'm being an idiot and she's actually got peritonitis or an appendicitis or something really life-threatening? Let me get to the hospital now. So I took her down to A&E, and they did some obs. They observed her. They took her, urine and asked her some questions, palpitated her tummy, and basically said, here's some very heavy-duty Nurofen painkiller. Go home and eat toast. So I was like, okay. So anyway, we went home. So that was in I think it was like the end of summer, right? So then we had August, September, October, November, December. We had 5 months of this horrendous Touretting thing happening where she was shouting expletives at her maths tutor. And, I was thinking, what kind of life is my child going to have if I can't get to the bottom of this? So, I began to really implement the GAPS protocol quite strictly, but still we weren't really getting to the bottom of things. And then at a Christmas party, I met this lady who said that her son had been ticking really badly, tics and twitches. And often this is a magnesium deficiency, but sometimes it could be gut related, and it could be about having a certain kind of a parasite in your gut. So she told me about a magical lady she'd gone to see who was a kinesiologist, and so Chaz and I booked in, and we went to see this lady. It took me months to get an appointment because this lady was really sought after because she specialised in gut-related stuff. So it's not purely down to gaps that we managed to sort out the Tourette's, I have to say, but when we went for this consultation, the first thing she said is, "What is your diet like?" And I described it to her, and she went, "Brilliant, that sounds brilliant. Now let me see what I can do for you." She was saying if we hadn't have been doing the GAPS protocol, then we would have had a much longer, much harder journey. So basically, this beautiful kinesiologist lady sort of tested Chaz. Kinesiology is a muscle testing. So basically it's a yes or a no. Does this thing make you strong or does it make you weak? So she tested her for lots of different kind of gut bugs and lots of different foodstuffs and lots of different remedies. And she basically sent us away after a half-hour meeting with a specific herbal remedy, a specific lactobacillus supplement to take, and also advising us to not eat, I can't remember what it was, eggs and cheese or something. I can't remember what it was exactly, but she said don't eat these two things for at least 6 weeks because that's what's feeding that particular pathogenic parasite that's causing your daughter to do the ticking. Anyway, 6 weeks it took of the healing. We gave her these pills and didn't let her have those foods, and for 3 weeks she was okay, and then she had a massive healing crisis and she was in bed for a week and it was awful. She was crying every day, she wouldn't eat anything, she was self-abusive, self-harming, and really in a state, and I was like, oh my god, what are we going to do next? And I called up the kinesiologist and I was like, what should we do? What should we do? She was like, keep going, you're doing okay, you're doing okay. Anyway, 6 weeks through that treatment, she came out the other side and she said, "Mum, I only ticked 50 times today." She'd counted it, where she'd said squirrels, or that was all I was going to tell you. The house where we went, where the kinesiologist lived, the house name was Squirrels, and that was one of the first words that she started ticking, and I thought that was a really nice little hint from the universe that we were on the right track. So yeah, she overcame it. She came out 6 weeks, she said, "I've only ticked 50 times, and a few days later she said, "I've only ticked 30 times, and a few days after that she said, "I only ticked 5 times, and then suddenly she just stopped ticking." She said she still had the urge sometimes to do it, but now she had control over the urge, whereas before she had no control over it. It was an obsessive compulsive thing where she was just shouting light bulbs or whatever it was. So yeah, GAPS helped us overcome Tourette's. It was a kinesiologist who specialised in gastrointestinal things that really helped us get to the bottom of it. But had we not already been on the GAPS protocol for that time, it would have taken us a lot longer. And as it was, she only had about a year of her life that was affected by this really interesting thing that happened. Anyway, you don't have to suffer with Tourette's, everybody. You can actually get to the bottom. There's lots of these things, gut and psychology syndrome, lots of these things, bipolar, depression, anxiety, schizophrenia is affected by gut. So your gut. So GAPS can help with any mental illness. It can help. It can alter your cognitive function and your mental abilities and your reaction and your perception of the world, because it fixes your neurological pathways, which are starved of building blocks often. So it's great news. GAPS, gut and psychology syndrome, can definitely help with mental problems, and it definitely helped us when we overcame Tourette's a few years back. It was a really interesting trip. Anyway, you guys, go to timelesscookery.com on YouTube, go to timelesscookery.com here on Facebook for tips and recipes about the GAPS nutritional protocol. And we've just started one of our online trainings, but the next one will be in a few months' time. So go to the website, Timeless Cookery, and sign up for the newsletter.